Hello, my name's Miles, and this is Steam Graveyard, the gaming series where I unearth the lost games of the Steam store. Today's game is Tomb of Tyrants, and it came out in 2015. This is going to be a difficult game to explain. It's basically, Dungeon Keeper, but as a match 3 game? Yeah, it's got minions, it's got buildings and resources and traps and all of this stuff, but yet at its core it is a match 3 game. So it's very unique, and it's got a lot of strategy to it. Even though it is really just a puzzle game at its core, that's not the main source of the gameplay. That's not the main source of even the fun, I would say. Because I'm not into those type of games myself, you know, match 3 and Bejeweled and things like that. They're not my type of game, but whenever this game originally came out back in 2015, I decided to pick it up because it looked just so unusual. And sure enough, it turned out to be an absolute hidden gem. And so I'm very happy to be able to have a platform to showcase it to you. Even though I do consider it a hidden gem, it still is a Steam Graveyard game because sadly this game did not get much recognition. Not a lot of people played it, and so I'm really happy to shine a spotlight on it. So let's jump in and I will show you what it's all about. Okay, so the main premise of the game is that you have to keep your avatar, your overlord, safe. So here he comes now. This is the guy, this is the tyrant, and you have to keep him safe no matter what. Now, he will always remain in the Sinister Sanctum, which is the bottom floor of your dungeon. As you play the game, you gain more floors to put into your dungeon, and you actually get to select and choose them and customize them the way that you want. It's all about customizing your dungeon through playing this little, matching game that's on the left here, you can see. But all the time, you have to make sure that your Sinister Sanctum, and especially your avatar, the Tyrant, is safe. He is the main objective of the invaders of your dungeon, who are the heroes, which will be coming in from the surface after you build your first dungeon floor. So there's a lot to take in, but you'll see how it progresses as the game plays on. Over here on the left, you can see that this is the main aspect of the game. This is the match system and the puzzle element. Below that, you can see that you have the different components that make up all of the different icons of the game. So you've got growth in green, all these little green bits and pieces. Gears are the bluish ones. So each color has is defined by its resource type, and each resource has a maximum amount that you can fill up. Now, as you progress, you can actually increase the maximum number of each resource that you can store by making these little shapes on the left and the right. So these are called your rituals. So, for example, if I wanted to match up this, I would have to move this, let's see, so I've got my runes here, so if I move my rune here, like that, that will match the shape at the top right, which will increase the amount of runes I have, or my maximum supply of runes. So currently it's 25, so I slot that over like that, and there we go, now I've got 27. Now this doesn't really come into effect early on in the game, it's more for later whenever you have to stockpile. Because once the heroes start flooding into your dungeon and you're pretty much on full panic mode, you're going to have to be resurrecting dead minions and building new floors, and you won't always have the chance to actually sort of mix and match these symbols to the way that you want to get the resources that you want or that you need. So it's very, very important later on in the game that you have a nice stockpile. So you want to try and get these rituals going as quick as possible. As you continue playing the game, these rituals will increase in difficulty, meaning that you have to create little shapes out of a single color, and those shapes get more complicated to do, take more time, but again, they are worth it because there will come a point whenever you are panicking, your dungeon's being set on fire and being completely invaded, and yeah, you're going to need those supplies. So over here in the middle of the screen, you can actually see these are the different types of rooms that you have available to you at the moment. More rooms are unlocked. So for example, if you were to build like a bone pit, I think it is. Let me see. Well, this one's actually a really good example. So you can see here, if I was to build this, I would get it. It says it offers giant rats. So I get 2 giant rats, and that would lead to the ability to build a slimy sewer, which would probably mean I'd be able to build slime minions then. Well, I should say that you don't actually build minions. Each room comes with a predetermined amount of minions, and whenever they die, all you can do is just resurrect them, or resurrect the type of minion that should be in that room. So you don't actually, recruit minions. You don't have a building where you can just pump out more and more minions. You have to actually build rooms. So you have a very finite amount of people who can defend your dungeon. But there's a really, really great selection of different rooms and different minions that you can get with each room. And some of them don't even fight. Some of them actually just, like the kobolds, they will just work away on a forge, making materials for you. That will mean that you automatically, every minute or so, you get some more materials thrown into your stockpile, which is very useful. The downside, though, is that they are easily attacked. So if you were to create, some sort of forge, then you would want it further down your dungeon, and maybe your more attack-based floors up at the top. Another type of floor available are the trap floors. So they let you actually... You can't put minions into them, but they will activate every once in a while. I think it's... they've each got their cooldowns. So maybe like 15 seconds or every 20 seconds, they, release spikes and, impale whatever poor hero is trying to get you. So it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of customization, a lot of strategy to it. So I'm going to jump in, and things get hectic pretty quick, but I will try my best to give you an overview of what's going on. So the first thing I want to do is just start mixing and matching these symbols to kind of get some resources, and then we'll pick our first floor. So yeah, the actual mechanics for the mixing and matching of these things is pretty good as well. It's not your... It doesn't slouch on its, basic mechanics for the puzzle part. So I'm going to be doing the commentary alongside playing the game, so I'm not expected to do too well here. And I'm not going to go for anything too complicated in terms of matching these symbols. But it should give you a really good indication of how things work in this game. So you can see you can slide one over to this side, and then you can bring this over and complete the nice set. Okay, so we have enough resources to buy a new room. So you need a couple different things before you can place them, or before you even buy them. The first thing is you need the resources. So, for example, if I wanted to build the Crumbling Catacombs, I would need 15 runes, so that's the blue resource, and 10 flesh, which is the red resource. Right now I've got 14 flesh and 27 runes, so I've got enough resources to build that. What you also need is the floor space. So you can see here there's a sort of almost like a slot-based system. That gives you an indication of how many floors are ready to be built on. Now, as the game progresses, of course, this is just like, Tetris or any other sort of puzzle game, things start dropping back down so that your floor space starts building up, and so you've got to be kind of quick about that. You have to eliminate whatever's down there on the matching puzzle system, and you've got to have the space up here. So for these starting buildings, I need 3 floor spaces. So you can see there, I've got enough space. Later on, I think there's some that need 2, maybe there's not. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. I know there's some that need more than 3, maybe 4 or 5, and those are really great big cavernous rooms. but they tend to provide, you know, stronger minions for you, and yeah, some some really nasty things that you can, you know, unleash on the heroes. That's another great thing about this game, is that it is like Dungeon Keeper. You know, like, you get to play the bad guy. You get to, you know, destroy all these friendly, happy heroes that are invading your dungeon. You just melt them. You impale them on the spikes. You send your zombies after them. Whatever you want. So to begin with, let us see. We've got a ton of different things. We could go with zombies. We could go with trolls, and I think they lead to having a furnace. Or, I'm not actually sure. Oh, there you go. So you right click and you can actually see exactly what this thing does. So there's a really, really handy glossary here in this game. It's actually really fantastic. So anything you right click on will bring up a little nice page of information about what exactly that does. So for example here, I clicked on the Cutthroat Camp, and it shows you what I need to build it and the kind of unit that it offers. I can even right-click the unit and it'll give me a detailed page about the different stats of that character. You can also see that some buildings, while they open the ability to build new, bigger buildings, more advanced buildings, some of them will in fact block some floors from being built. So for example here, if I was to build the Brigand Camp, the Cutthroat Camp, it would block the Lupine layer. So I could have these brigand guys, these sort of thieves, in my dungeon, but then I wouldn't be able to have my giant wolves. So again, lots of options and things that you can do. And you can really build the dungeon whichever way you want. You can go like pretty much just all goblins and orcs and trolls, or you could have all like animals, like wolves and rats and slimes. You know, the sort of traditional, classic, you know, starting enemies for any good RPG. Or else you can go totally undead. You can bring in zombies and skeletons and liches and necromancers and all sorts of awful, horrible, awesome stuff like that. But for now, let us pick one of these. Okay, I'm gonna go with the cultists. So you can see there, it drops the cultist floor down, and it goes to the top. It actually goes to whatever, anything below the current floor, but always above the Sinister Sanctum, if that makes any sense. So now I've got these wee guys that are running around. What I can do is I can actually pick them up, and I can position them wherever I want. So you can say, yeah, I want you at level 1 spot, and I want you at level 2 spot. And you can see if you right click, it'll actually tell you what they do on each spot. So on the first spot, they will be doing 4 points of arcane damage. And that is a melee attack. Yeah, and then progressively on 2 and then 3, they do less damage. So you want these guys in the first position, pretty much. Although, you really don't want anybody getting into the Sinister Sanctum, so I'm just going to put them both in the first floor. So at 1 and 2 positions. So they're ready to go. They're ready to defend. Now, if I wanted to, I could say, I don't want you in any position. And instead what will happen is they will start patrolling all of the different floors of your dungeon randomly. So that's handy for some of your minions. Maybe, your fast, heavy-hitting minions. Maybe you just want them to sort of run around and not really have any sort of direct strategy for them, just to sort of mop up and help with rooms. Now, you can only have 3 minions at a time in each room, and I think only 3 heroes at a time can enter a room. So once they enter, they will actually start to attack whatever is in the room. If there is more than 3 minions or more than 3 heroes at a time in a room, then they will spill over to the next rooms. So especially for heroes, this is quite bad because you don't want them progressing in your dungeon. So if your room is full of 3 heroes, like this one will be eventually, they will spill out and you'll have heroes come into the dungeon forget about that room and then just come down straight into your Sinister Sanctum, which is very, very bad. It's how you lose the game, in fact. But anyway, here we go. It's nighttime now, and we've got our first human, a musketeer, huh? Okay, so this is the first hero, and he will eventually come into the dungeon and start making his way down. So what we've got to do is we've got to kind of get going here and start matching up these things to make sure that we've got enough resources to combat that, and to also have new rooms for him to basically die in. So we've got room for another room. So let's see. Now I don't have the resources for those levels, but I can build some kobolds. You know what? I'm going to put in some giant rats. Let's do that. Oh, another interesting thing is you can actually move these floors up and down so that you can really customize. So maybe later on in the game, you know, you get a really high level floor that has something really, really nasty in it. But because, you know, you've been playing for, 20 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it is, it'll be further down in your dungeon. So you can just pop it straight up. So, I mean, this is giant rats, so obviously this has got to be the first enemy that any sensible hero has to fight before, delving down into a dungeon. So, yeah, I've decided to jump that up to the top. And once again, I've got to start mixing and matching these things. So you can see that the heroes are already starting to stack up at the top, which makes things quite tricky. Although I was able to defeat one hero, that musketeer. So that was good. So each minion that you have as well has a sort of synergy to a particular type of resource. They don't really get any benefits from them, but they will, if they die, that's the resource that you need to resurrect them. I also wanted to note that all of these enemies, I think the enemies at least, for sure your own minions, they actually gain experience as the game progresses, and in fact you can actually become sort of heroes. Actually, that cultist that I started the game with, he is a hero. So you can see his name is in gold. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. Also, it's nice to point out that each everything in the game has its own individual name. So you've got Buttercup the Picky, the giant rat. He is a level 1. And again, you right click and you can see how you get that minion. What it does, the kind of health and defenses that it has, what it does on each position that it's in. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. Okay, let's see. Let's go with the Portentous Portal. Portentous Portal. Portentous? Portentous. Portentous. I have no idea what that word is. I'm gonna have to look that up later. Let's go with that one. Okay, so now we've got some kobolds flying around. What are these guys good for? Okay, so they do fire damage. Let's move one of these up here to help support our rats. And yeah, actually, what do the rats... Okay, the rats are pretty good actually at level 3 anyway, so let's change that up and mix the... Take that demon and put him in the first slot so that he can do fire damage to anything that's coming in. Right, I really have to get cracking on these resources. Oh, another thing is that at the bottom here you've got a bunch of different items. Now you pick these items up, they randomly show up every once in a while whenever you... They just sort of drop down, I guess, much like all of the other pieces in this little puzzle. And if you match symbols with them, you kind of unlock them, and then you're able to use them. Yeah, so you can see this one here is a passive, and it slows down the waves by 5%, so that's incredibly handy. And it's at level 1, so it seems like you can level the items up as well. This one here, Quicksilver Quaff. You can see this one here, it has a cooldown of 60 seconds. And it buffs all your allies and protects them all, so it adds 1 extra range damage and 1 extra agility. So your ranged minions would be attacking for a little bit more damage, and they would take a little bit less, or, well, less likely to get hit, I guess. And another really good one is the Curative Cordial. So that's 60 seconds, but it heals all of your minions in your dungeon for 3 points of health, which is incredibly useful. Again, later on that becomes a little bit more useful because all of your minions are going to be taking damage, and that's the only way to heal them. They're either going to keep fighting and eventually die, or else you can heal them. So I'm going to actually pop one of these now, I think. I'll do that one, so a little bit more damage, a little bit more defense. And then there's other ones you can get as you play. So let's get back to matching these things up. Okay, so I've got another floor unlocked. Let me see. Now, I think I'll go with the lupine layer so that we can get some wolves in. You can see here, actually, these are some of the more advanced, harder to get buildings. Wow, actually that one's incredibly difficult. You actually need 30 of this one resource. Which, yeah, currently we can't even max that out. The maximum we can get is 27 of that. So not only do we need to get all of the resources for that one, but we need to match up these ritual symbols to actually increase the amount of maximum resources we can get for that before we can even get the resources we need to unlock it. And then we need 5 floors free to actually buy it. So yeah, that's going to be tough. Anyway, let's go with the lupine layer. And here we go, we got some wolves. I'm going to bump this up again. Every time you bump it up, you lose a little bit of scrap, but scrap's pretty easy to come by. Okay, so you can see here everything, little bits of details about what's happening in your dungeon. You know, now that I look at my dungeon, I probably should have went with maybe floors that were a little bit more lit, so that you can actually get a nice view of the actual dungeons. You know, the actual artwork. Because there is some really, really wonderful pixel art in this game. And a ton of it, too. There is a ton of stuff in this game, I have to say. Not only is there a huge selection of floors, but each floor has different minions, there's traps, and all of those have to be animated. And then you also have the enormous amount of different heroes. I mean, like, look at some of these people who are invading my dungeon. We've got this little Goron, the Tiny, a level 5 Pixie Diva, and then you've got a Human Fighter, a War Priest, a Druid, a Defender, a Soldier. Yeah, there's a lot. And as you progress in the game, you also unlock even more things, more heroes start attacking. And this is over the course of the game. So even if you lose, you unlock these things and they progress to the next time you play. Here's a particularly hunky looking guy coming now. Neezy the Indefatigable. And we've got, oh, these guys look tough. Templars. Yeah, they're mounted. I've read about them. If they get into your dungeon and they get killed, but then they just jump off their horse and they keep attacking. So yeah, pretty tough. So the point of the game is to pretty much survive as long as you can, to build up a dungeon and have fun along the way. There's a points system in place, and there is actually leaderboards. So there is definitely a competitive element if you want it to be there. Okay, let's get this stuff going. Right, what now? So I can make mad scientists, and they actually have, they offer a buff, which is minus 10 seconds to any potion cooldowns. I don't think I have any potions at the moment, though. No, I don't think so. So later on, if I was to get one, though, that would decrease the cooldown, so that's incredibly handy. You know what, I'm actually going to pop this health because my guys were looking a little rough there. Actually, one of my rats died, so you can see there I've got to get 4 gold and 10 flesh. Okay, let's see if I can build this up. Oh, 9, so I'm a little off still. Right, I'm gonna pop some of these just to give me a little bit more defense going on. Ooh, yeah, it is difficult to keep track of everything, especially when you're doing these commentary things. So put him up there, put him there. Yeah, that looks good. And I'm gonna build... Oh yeah, slime. I like slimes. They're always cool. So put them there, put this one... No, worry. No, you come back here. Yeah, put you there. Oh, yeah, and the heroes just keep coming. So one of the really cool things about this game is that even if you do die, some of your progression carries over. Now, actually, here we go. This is great timing. You can see up here at the top left, one of these sort of random quests that tend to happen every once in a while. So we're giving out these quests, and this one here is make matches. So I've got to make 10 matches, and I've got to do it within 60 seconds, presumably. And I've got 3 matches done. So if I can make that on time, I will gain the ability to lock down a dungeon floor. What that means is that I can say, okay, so I always start off with the Sinister Sanctum, but if I wanted to, I could say, oh, I also want to start with the Slimy Sewer. And so at the very beginning of my next game, after I've died here, I'll be able to start, you know, with a little bit of progression, with a floor already unlocked and minions all ready to go. And, you know, I like my slimes, so yeah, a nice slimy dungeon to start. That's pretty awesome. So let's see if I can actually get this done in time. It's going to be a little tricky since I wasn't paying attention. I've already lost a bit of time on it. Oh, it's not looking too good here. And again, these quests do get more difficult, I think, as you progress. So okay, so I've got 12 seconds left, and I've got to get one more match. I will say as well as very noteworthy that if you press the spacebar, you can actually pause the game. The problem with that is that you lose your score multiplier, which I think is a fair enough trade-off. I think whenever you're starting to learn the game, and there's a very, very good tutorial with this game as well, I have to say, but whenever you're playing the game and you're really starting to get into it for the first time, the score isn't really that useful. It's something that you can definitely ignore. What you really do need to do is be able to focus and know exactly what you're doing. So being able to pause is really, really nice touch, and I think it's definitely needed. Okay, so back to the game, and I need one more match, so that shouldn't be too difficult. I'd say that shouldn't be too difficult. There we go. Okay. So there you go. Let me see. How do I actually... Okay, so Slimy Floor has been fortified. So that means that... And you can see now that it's the same sort of tile set as the Sinister Sanctum. That means that it's locked in, and I can now use that as a starting floor. Well, it automatically pops up the next time I play as the starting floor. Oh, also, yeah, the Naive Nap. this is, as it says, an annoying area for heroes to heal and regroup. So I think it's every, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every 5 floors, every 5th floor is one of these areas for the heroes to actually recuperate. It is very nasty. So if your heroes can manage to just slip by, those 5 floors, get past all of your minions and get to there, then they can heal up, and the next 5, they're ready to really combat. So yeah, very, very bad. I better get my rat back, and yeah, I need to really get going here because these guys are really starting to fill up my dungeon. Oh wow, I've got a lot coming in now. Yep, so you can see that the stress and the pressure really starts to mount. And again, it's very difficult to do commentary on this. Also, you can see that while each icon has a specific color, and those are the ones that you're supposed to match up together, they also have a specific symbol on them, and each symbol has a different thing that works in conjunction with the rest of your dungeon. So you can see here these bits of flesh, they will heal your minions whenever they're gathered. The bones will save doomed minions. I'm not exactly sure what that is though. And the gold will actually distribute experience. So this again brings into context a lot of the customization and the optimization of what you want to do with your dungeon. So for example, you could have a dungeon that is just like full, just swarming with undead. That would mean that maybe you wouldn't necessarily need to gather up as much flesh, as much as the red stuff, but you would need a lot more bone. Conversely, if you were going for all animals, then you would need a lot more flesh and probably less bone. Anyway, let's continue on once more. So yeah, I really, really need to get another floor going here because they're coming in. Okay, let's go with that one. Okay, so we've got another floor. Yeah, you can see like these guys here were 1 floor away from my main sanctum. That would have been bad. Whew. Yeah, it gets really stressful, this game, especially if you haven't played in a while. Full inventory. Yeah, I don't need to know that. One other thing that gets carried on, I think, is your heroes. So any heroes that didn't die in the previous game will be carried over. And like I said, the purpose of the game is really just, to just see how far you can go. There is actually a lot of unlocks as well. So there's a really good progression system installed. Ooh, okay, so we've got, yeah, just about got space now for something else. Oh, we've unlocked a volcanic valve. So that is a trap room, and it is, yeah, it's quite advanced as well. You can see, yeah, I needed 25, 25, 10, and I need 4 spaces for that. So luckily I was able to do my rituals enough to actually unlock enough space to collect that much material. So what this room is actually a trap room. So it doesn't come with minions. Instead, you can see here every 25 seconds it uses an effect called Dragon's Breath, which does 4 flame damage to everyone in it. I think that... Oh no, I was going to say I think that actually includes minions, but I don't think minions can actually go inside that. So you can see everybody just duking it out on all the different floors. And you can really optimize, the way everybody fights by unlocking more and more minions and mixing and matching their different abilities. For example, maybe there's ones that have a bow or ranged attack, so you would put them in the third slot while you would put your beefier, maybe armored skeletons, things like that, Ones that are going to take a lot of damage, you put those in the front. I think there might even be ones that buff your minions as well. So you could put those in the middle maybe, or maybe in the back as well. So it's almost like building little parties for each floor, to maximize your efficiency. Oh, where's he going? Oh, I scared him away. That's cool. Yeah, there's a fear effect as well in the game. I think your minions can be feared as well. I think. Maybe not. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Wow, yeah, I've got a lot coming in. Oh yeah, and there was another, that was another quest, but that one I did not accomplish in time, so I sadly wasn't able to unlock another floor for the next playthrough. That's okay. Yeah, I think that's a good place to that's a good place to end it, and you can see once you die, you get a little indication of what happened exactly in your dungeon. And like I said, you get one of your heroes back, because he didn't die the last time. Although now, this time, he's not a hero, which is pretty good, so they kind of get demoted. And again, they all level up, they've all got experience and stuff like that. And most importantly, you've got your slimy sewer. So straight away, you've got your, even before any heroes come, you've already got this really good big advantage. One other thing that I wanted to kind of show off here, which is pretty awesome, is that I am actually noted in the game. So there you go. Like I was saying, about necromancers and skeletons and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of all that, having grown up watching a lot of Sinbad movies. And there you go, A Necromancer's Dream Come True by M. O'Neill. That is me. Now, I got my name and pretty much everybody who helped out in some way, promote the game. And back in the day, whenever this first came out, they were specifically looking for people making videos and putting out screenshots. So I put together a selection of screenshots that the developer of the game could pick and choose from to put up onto the Steam store. And in thanks for that, everybody who helped in that regard got their names added to the game in some form. In fact, it was really cool because he offered pretty much anybody any place. So you could say, oh, I really like that item, that one item in the game, and that's fine. You get your name put next to it. Maybe this guy obviously liked the idea of the hypnotic eye, so, Radabon was able to get put into the game, and, yeah, and like I said, I'm big into, skeletons and necromancers and all that kind of fun stuff, so I decided, yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. So, yeah, that's really cool, so it is. I thought that was pretty fun. And, yeah, my name actually does eventually scroll up in the credits as well. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. So for this game, I think people should definitely dig it up, check it out, buy it, play it, love it. It is so good, it is so unique, and I think the developers deserve all the credit for it. They are constantly updating, and I mean like big updates too. Whenever I first played this game, it was a lot more difficult, it was a lot more convoluted. There's a lot more features now. Even whenever I started this playthrough, I had to go back and relearn a lot of stuff because there's just so much has been added, and some things have been tweaked and changed, and just a lot of development. And yeah, this is, again, like this game came out 3 years ago, and pretty much constant update. And like I said, big update, more floors, and with new floors comes new animations and enemies and minions and spell effects and everything, and it's very, very impressive. So, like, really, really well done to the developing team, which I think is actually just one guy. So, well done to you. That's really how you do it on Steam, So there you go, that's Tomb of Tyrants, and it is on Steam for £5.59. And this has been another Steam Graveyard, a very enjoyable episode. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!